Amazing. Hello again. So now I'm very happy to announce that we have another interesting speaker, very interesting talk, Deutsche Bundesbank, so it's getting a bit more official. Interesting enough, even Germans are sometimes innovative, right? These days it's very surprising. And so please welcome the sir over there, please come here, from the Deutsche Bundesbank to introduce us how German official institutions are also using DLT technology to get a bit more 21st century. So big applause, please.
So test, so it's working. So thank you very much for the introduction. Hello everyone and welcome to my talk. My name is Besfort Shala and I'm working for the Deutsche Bundesbank. There I'm working as a senior technology expert and tech lead, and today I'm going to present you the so-called trigger solution of the Bundesbank. It's a DLT-based solution which enables the settlement of financial transactions using central bank money. And today the idea is to provide you technical details of this solution, also to introduce the activities with the trigger solution which are ongoing right now, and also to go with you through a business use case where the trigger solution is used. So depending on the background you have, I decided to include this slide to give very shortly, very briefly some short information regarding the Bundesbank's role in payment system itself. And as you can see here, there are some responsibilities, and of course one of them is smooth and secure payments. So what does it mean? So we know there are payments between institutions, between commercial banks, between individuals, between companies, and they are mainly nowadays cashless. And the Bundesbank, of course, as one of the key responsibilities, is to ensure that these payments are processed in a smooth and a secure way, because if there are disruptions in these payments, this could lead to some financial stability impacts. So therefore there is an eye from the Bundesbank on that topic. Another responsibility is settlement and clearing services. So what is settlement? What is clearing? Basically settlement means the process of transferring funds or assets from one participant to the other participant which is involved in a transaction. And clearing is the process before, in order to check if the conditions for that settlement are met. So the Bundesbank is providing these services, and besides that it's also operating the infrastructure in order to enable that these funds are transferred in a secure and efficient way. Another service or another responsibility are the European payment standards. So the Bundesbank, together with other actors, with other central banks, are setting and also maintaining common European payment standards, and these standards are used or contribute to the harmonization of payment systems across Europe. And through this harmonization, for instance, there is an optimization when it comes to cross-border payments. I've listed also some additional services such as guaranteed Bundesbank checks, or for instance the Bundesbank also supports government institutions through the through issuing letters of credit or bank guarantees for the different international payment transfer which needs to be happen. So we see, based on these briefly description of the responsibilities, the Bundesbank itself, the role of the Bundesbank has impact, and of course the activities which the Bundesbank has, they have an impact not only on the financial stability of Germany itself, but also for the European financial stability. So, and again, in order to ensure secure and efficient payment systems. So besides these key responsibilities, the Bundesbank has also an eye on the digital transformation and also on the future of money. And we also know that nowadays, besides the physical cash, the use of cashless payment is also increasing, and we know that there are different solutions, different new digital payment solutions such as pay-per-use or stable coins, which are nowadays used. And I mean, these developments, these innovations are really good. And the central banks, they are analyzing these developments and are also having a look what kind of challenges we have with these kind of evolution. And on the other side, it's really clear that this central bank and the central bank money is considered as the safest form of money. And therefore, the idea is also because of the needs of the market to provide, because central bank money is provided in a physical form, and the idea is to provide it to the customers also in a digital form. And therefore we come to a term, maybe you have heard it, CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. There are two types of it, basically retail CBDC and wholesale CBDC. So what is the difference, retail and wholesale? Retail is basically for the broad audience, for every household, for every us. I mean, maybe you've heard about the project of the digital euro. So this is what is represented with the retail CBDC, and on the other side we have the wholesale CBDC, which is the focus of this presentation today. And where we can find also here an overview, and basically how do we define wholesale CBDC? As mentioned, we have central bank money in a physical form, and we define a wholesale CBDC as a non-cash central bank money. On the other side, wholesale CBDC in comparison to retail is only used by financial institutions and commercial banks. And on the other side, wholesale CBDCs should enable programmability, because on the financial institution side, there are many use cases, and the need in order to make conditions and to integrate them into payments is there. There is a demand. And of course, we also know the distributed ledger technology, blockchain itself, with its benefits we have with it. And blockchain or DLT can serve this purpose. I mean, of course, we have automation. So through the use of smart contracts, we can define conditions for the different settlement of financial transactions. And on the other side, one of the benefits is when speaking about reconciliation, it supports this process because we can use one common joint database which optimizes that process. So it's obvious that there are benefits, of course, with distributed ledger technology, and we have also within the European Union different regulations which support and facilitates these processes at the market, so they can explore this technology for their use cases. Because when we speak for the wholesale branch, we know that on their side, on the market side, the different assets are explored now in a tokenized form. So basically, having a look on the needs and on the demand of the market on the wholesale section, we see, as mentioned at the beginning, that central bank money, again, is the safest form of money, and on the other side, the most liquid settlement asset. And therefore, on a central bank perspective, we are also exploring with different new technologies in order, again, to serve the demand of the market. And therefore, if you have a look on the literature and the internet, you will see there are different initiatives around the world which are exploring with CBDC, retail and wholesale CBDC. And we here in the Eurosystem, we are also exploring with new technologies. And a specific case is the Eurosystem. I mean, under the framework of the ECB, we are currently in a so-called exploratory work, where again, we are exploring with new technologies how we can do wholesale transactions utilizing these new technologies. And therefore, the exploratory work, what is the exploratory work itself? It started in May, June, and it will last until November, and part of this exploratory work are many market participants here around the Eurosystem. And basically the experiments, what do we mean with experiment? With experiment we mean that we are performing transactions in a test environment, and with trials we mean that these kind of experiments are done with real money. And what kind of solutions are going to be tested or are running right now? There are 3 solutions. One solution is the trigger solution, which I provide more details later on. It's the solution of the Bundesbank. Another solution which is tested right now is the TIPS hashling solution provided by the Banca d'Italia. So both solutions, they are creating a kind of bridge between the traditional payment system on one side and on the other side the market DLT infrastructures. So they are enabling the payment in central bank money, so the financial transactions can be settled using this form of money. And a third solution is a solution provided by the Banque de France. They are providing a solution with a DLT infrastructure, and they have a token-based solution. So these 3 solutions are part of this exploratory work. And again, as mentioned here in the slide, building a common understanding and gaining experience of these new technologies is the aim of this exploratory work. So let's go to have a deep dive on the trigger solution itself. Again, the trigger solution is a DLT system, a DLT solution, which again developed and operated by the Bundesbank. And as mentioned, it's a technical bridge between, again, external market DLT infrastructures and the conventional traditional payment system. And it's running and it's working smoothly and very efficient. And what do we do with the trigger solution itself? I've mentioned at the beginning, there is a need that the different DLT financial transactions should be settled in central bank money. And this is possible through the use of the trigger solution. And because of its simplicity, there is also no need to change the conventional payment system. And it means a shorter time to market. And on the other side, there are also no implications on the financial stability or on policy issues. So, yeah, and already mentioned, trigger solution is used in the exploratory work within the framework of the ECB. So, but what does it mean, trigger solution? What does the trigger solution really triggering? I am mentioning all the time, I have the traditional payment system with central bank money, and on the other side I have the DLT market operators. This is a kind how the ecosystem looks like of the use case I'm going to present to you. So have a look here. So we have on top, we have the market DLT platform. So the market DLT platform, it's operated by a market DLT operator. So here we are the customers, here are the market participants. This is a blockchain, a DLT infrastructure where assets are handled, where assets are moved from one side to the other side, from one participant to the other participant. Now the question is, what about the payment? Because Alice will send the asset to Bob only when Alice receives the payment. So then in the middle we see the trigger solution. The trigger solution is also a blockchain, a DLT infrastructure as mentioned. And here the participant are able, or they are part of the trigger solution, and they are able to initiate the payment. They create in the trigger solution, through the use of smart contracts, a payment instruction. And this payment instruction afterwards will flow down to the RTGS. I mean, to make it easier for you, for those of you who do not have background on central banking, on the conventional payment system. So these payment instructions will be converted in an ISO message and will be used in the conventional payment system to do that payment. And to ensure that Alice receives the fund and she can then transfer the asset to Bob in the market DLT platform. So to have a deeper look here again, what I've said again described. So you see on the market DLT platform, you see that we have a buyer and we have a seller. And then the first step, I mean, they agree. Again, Alice and Bob, they agree to handle a kind of asset. I mean, when we speak about DVP, mostly a delivery versus payment is mostly used for securities settlement. So Alice and Bob, they agree for this trade. And the details of the trade in step 2, through the use of an interoperability solution, the details of this trade will be used to create a payment instruction. So in the trigger solution, we have a smart contract, a payment instruction smart contract. Then these details of the trade will be included in the smart contract, and this will create, as mentioned, a payment instruction. And this payment instruction in step 3 will used by the backend application to convert it in an ISO message. In an ISO message which is understandable by the payment system. And then you see in step 4 and 5, to make it simpler for you, the payment is triggered. And in this use case, there is a 2-step payment approach. So what does it mean? You see on the left side the payer, and on the right side the seller. So what will happen in step 4? In step 4, the payer, or we will get the money from the payer. So the money will be parked in the account of the Bundesbank, and in the next step, in step 5, this money will be transferred to the seller. The confirmation of this payment, so after step 5, we receive from the payment system a confirmation that the payment was successfully, and this confirmation will then transferred to the trigger solution, and this blockchain event can be collected by the market participant and can be incorporated in their application. And this will trigger that on the market DLT platform, they have the information, payment done, so the asset can be transferred to the other side. So this is basically the business process of the DVP transaction. So what are the technical details of the trigger solution itself? As mentioned, there is a DLT infrastructure, and this DLT infrastructure is based on the most recent version of Hyperledger Fabric 2.5. We have implemented that in the internal Bundesbank environment, and what kind of possibilities the participant have to connect to the solution, basically through the APIs. We have provided APIs to them, and then through the APIs they have UTA or A2A access. I mean A2A if they want to incorporate them to their applications, and of course, and if they want to have a simple and easy integration, they would use APIs. And of course, customers which have experience in blockchain, basically also in Hyperledger Fabric, they might be interested to operate their own node, a blockchain node in our Hyperledger Fabric network, and this possibility is also there and comes with other benefits on having a blockchain node within the solution. And basically the solution itself does not impose any technical requirements. I mean, as mentioned at the beginning, it's simple, and the market participants and the market DLT operators, they do not have to make complex changes. I mean, again, basically, if you are able just to speak with the APIs the trigger solution is providing, then you can communicate and interact with the solution. Here again in this slide we see again the ways how a payment instruction can be constructed as mentioned. I mean, basically that what I've said. You can be a peer, you can operate your own blockchain node as the trigger solution, and on the other side you can do that through a non-peer user, through using the APIs the trigger solution is providing. And what I have not mentioned until now is interoperability. I mean, basically, if a customer wants to be very simple, he just needs, again, through the APIs, to create the payment instruction and to do the whole process. But there are also participants who want to use the HTLC interoperability, which is a common solution for interoperability, and we have provided this possibility also. So if on the market DLT platform the operators and the participants wants to use HTLC, it's possible. So the details of the HTLC needs all the information such as secret and hash. They can be used also on the trigger side when creating the payment instruction and processing the payment itself. So what are the main functionalities? Basically, the users have or the market participants can generate payment instructions. they can authorize them. Participants of the trigger solution, as participant of a blockchain, have an overview. They can see all the transactions. They in the transactions where they are also involved, and based on the way they are connected, they will get also updates regarding the different events, if the payment is done or it's rejected, or other kind of errors happening, which can happen through the payment process. And and the trigger solution itself and the use of Hyperledger Fabric is a solution which is privacy by design. So through the use of private data collections, which is a concept of Hyperledger Fabric, it's possible to enable privacy that only the participant involved in a transaction can see this transaction. I've listed in the slide also here the benefits having on our node. I mean, the list is longer, I believe, but nevertheless, one of them is, if you have an own node at the trigger solution, market participants can add their own logic. I mean, through smart contracts, we can have more complex transactions. And another simple benefit, is the automatic updates you will get when being a node. And on the other side, if you connect only through APIs, you maybe need to implement more logic, or you need to query manually the different events happening at the blockchain itself. So what is the big picture of the trigger solution? I mean, as you can see here, I hope you can see that. Yeah, the quality, yeah, good. So basically, you see in the middle of this picture, you see the trigger solution itself. And the trigger solution consists of the trigger chain, the DLT infrastructure, and some backend applications. At top, we see a backend application which is speaking with the internal infrastructure components of the Bundesbank. And these infrastructure components, they have a direct access to the network service provider in order to communicate with T2, with the conventional payment system. And on the other side, we have here another application which enables the customers to access through API to the solution itself. So again, to simplify the explanation, we have the blockchain in the middle here in this figure, which, I mean, it seems that the quality is not good. On this figure, we see the different Hyperledger Fabric specific components. We see Bundesbank blockchain nodes, but we see also the nodes of market participants. We see also on the right side some external market blockchains. And again, as mentioned at the beginning, through the use of the trigger solution from the right side, where the assets are traded, the payment instruction is created here in the trigger solution, and through the different components arrives to the conventional payment system, triggers the payment, and the information goes back to the trigger solution, and from them triggers the transfer of the assets on the market DLT. Let me see on the timing, because I'm on time. I'm trying to speed. So these are the functions of the payment instruction smart contract. I mentioned that in the trigger solution we have implemented a smart contract which is called payment instruction smart contract, and here with the blue color we have the different functions. So these functions can be used by the user. So basically the users can create a payment instruction. I mean, by providing all the details, payer, seller, amount, BICs, and also identifier of the payment. This is the creation process, and of course we have the possibility to modify them, and after a payment is created, an authorized instance is able to authorize that, and of course then we have the other functions, submit, trigger, which transfers this information to the payment system in order to realize the payment on the conventional system. And on the other side, when the status arrives back, we receive the status of execution, and that means for the market operators that the payment settlement was done successfully, and on the asset side they can move the asset to the buyer itself. Of course, we have here the function of HTLC, which I am trying to show on the upcoming slides. How much time do I have? -2. Okay, I'm trying to speed. So I think I started late, but nevertheless, so on this, and it's Friday the 13th. Okay, so on this slide we see a graphical user interface of the trigger solution. I'm trying to accelerate this process. So you see here the different information which needs to be included by the participants, and and what maybe could be interested for you is the creation of a payment instruction using HTLC. So again, HTLC means that on the asset side, the customers, they need to put the asset on a smart contract and to lock that using a hash. And the information of the hash can be provided. I mean, here we have API, A2A connectivity to the trigger solution. The hash can be included in the creation of the payment instruction in the trigger solution and can be used also to lock the payment on the trigger solution. And based on the principles of HTLC, when the funds are locked and when the conditions are met based on the timer, instantly both sides, I mean, one side can get the payment and the other side can get the asset, based again on the principle of HTLC. And I mean, finally, again, the benefits of the trigger solution itself. With the trigger solution, we do not need to change the conventional payment system. It's ready, it can be used right now. With the trigger solution itself, we have programmability, we have a DLT infrastructure, which meets also the requirements for the market participants. It's going to be tested right now, and we have a positive feedback also by the market. And it's a first step through the discussions for future money, for future innovations, and a first step also through having at the end maybe also a token-based CBDC as mentioned at the beginning. So, sorry very much, and I think I'm done. Here are also my details. If you have questions, of course, you can write an email. You can contact me through LinkedIn, or we can have also a chat throughout this conference. And yeah. Thank you very much. Are there some questions?
Quick one, please.
Hey, so I like the fact you mentioned it's all about security and privacy first. So can I verify that from my outside world? And without going through your centralized APIs, or does everything boils down to trust me, bro? I'm the Deutsche Bundesbank.
I mean, when you speak about privacy, I mean, you need to have a deep look on. I mean, I believe that other DLT frameworks are providing this also, of course. But nevertheless, if you analyze Hyperledger Fabric and again the private data collections and the way how it's implemented, they are ensuring, and also through the encryptions happening through these private data collection, they are ensuring that this information is only read by the participants involved in the transactions itself. And on the other side, the blockchain infrastructure is hosted on the internal infrastructure of the Bundesbank itself. So, of course, I mean, you do have to trust these central banks, but nevertheless, the central bank institutions, they are trusted institutions, and if everything is hosted on these infrastructures, I think there is a common trust.
Thanks for that reply. We have a panel upcoming which has colleagues of yours from Deutsche Bundesbank and ECB on the financial market infrastructure of the future. When you don't participate, but any thoughts on that, like what would you recommend them to discuss now?
I've discussed with them before my speech, so I think they know my recommendations.
Okay,
yeah,
that's very diplomatic. Thanks for that. Thanks for being
here.
here.
Thank you.